Okay, we'll give it just a minute or two for people to start joining.
All right. I'm always excited to see repeat visitors to these workshops, familiar names that we've been seeing throughout the months.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Good
Oh,
morning.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, so we'll just go ahead and start. We'll let people trickle in as we go on, but good morning, everyone who's in the line right now. Thank you for joining us. Our next professional growth series. Today's topic, building a career framework, presented by Erin Woods, our friend at DeVry University. And we hope you enjoyed today's presentation. We will go ahead and record and send you the slides and the recording in our post-event email. So if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat, raise your hand, and then we can go from there. We'll go ahead and hand it off to Erin to kick off the presentation, and hope you enjoy. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I am super excited to be with you all again this morning. Happy Wednesday. Today's workshop is going to be about building a career framework. So this, again, is another workshop that is, all about you and what you want to do with your career and where you want to take it and how do you plan for that. So before we begin, I want to put in your heads and you start thinking about what stage of the career life cycle would you say you're currently in? Are you at the starting line, or are you cruising on autopilot? Or perhaps you're operating in startup mode, or even decelerating, meaning that you've reached that pivotal point in your career and you're just working along through to retirement, which for a lot of us seems like it's forever away. But we still want to have a plan in place and something to work off of. Again, my name is Erin Woods. I am the Dean of Campus and University Partnerships at DeVry University here in Phoenix. And I just really encourage you all to participate today. We don't have that many people on the line, but in the chats, please put your comments, unmute yourselves if you can, chime in. And then I usually have Laura Knapp here with me, but I'm flying solo. So I'll be managing the chat as well as our workshop today. This workshop is designed to provide you with several valuable takeaways for developing a solid career plan to implement immediately to help you realize your professional aspirations. Now, this is not to go and take away from what you're doing at your current organization. It's not to go and take you away from your current organization, but it's for you to take a look at what it is within you and where it is you want to take your career and where you want to go to, or how you're going to get to that next level. So on the agenda today, first we'll review several fundamental aspects of building a career framework by understanding the steps involved. Next, we'll discuss the importance of planning ahead so that we help you reach your ultimate career destination, because successful in a career is going to be different for everyone. Some people have already reached that point. Others are trying to figure out how to get there. We will also uncover how to identify, develop, and communicate your personal brand value and to clarify your career path. I know this is something that you've probably heard over and over as you've been progressing through your career, but personal branding is a big one that a lot of people seem to undervalue, especially when it comes to social media networks and how you're utilizing that to establish who you are as an individual. And then when you leave here today, you will be prepared to take charge of your career path by beginning the process of developing a successful career plan by identifying the steps involved. Walking through a few exercises. So again, please have a notepad near you and a pen so that you can take some notes and participate in the activities that we have planned later on, including a specific tool for goal setting that could lead to more successful outcomes, as well as discussing best practices for the successful execution of your goals. But before we begin, I'd like to reinforce that, again, the workshop is all about you. Your participation, insights, and personal experiences will enhance all of our experiences today. I learned so much in this workshop from other people's experiences and the plans that they make, and that learning what they've gone through to get to the point where they're at in their lives. So again, share as much as possible so that we can bounce ideas off of one another and learn from one another. Let's start with this question. Where are you? Are you in your career, or are you on a job? And what is the difference between a career and versus a job? Please feel free to put in some answers in the chat. Or for those that want to unmute yourselves, chime in. I know this is one that always used to stumble me some time back. Anybody?
Well, I'm going to say that I don't have I don't have a job or career because I own my own business. I guess I'm a little bit of both.
That's fair. That is definitely fair. Rosa Flake says she's at a job. Well, just to keep it short and simple, the real difference between a job and a career is your attitude. So let's explore further how this relates to our question. Deciding on a career is not always easy. Many think of a career as a longer-term passion. Although once committed to a direction, doors can begin to open as you gain experience and move to the next step. So with this in mind, a job may serve as one step along the way. And I like to go, and when I go through these presentations, think about how it has affected me personally, or how I can relate to the material that we're delivering on. And that's a very valid point. Jobs can serve as one step along the way. I know that I happen to have fallen into education. I took on a job as a project manager in early childhood education. And it was in that moment that I realized how I could take my business background and apply it to education. And it's been 10 plus years now on that trajectory. But I did not know that at the time that taking that role would plateau my career into education. The same thing with, I always talk about how I started out at college and wanting to be a teacher. And then personal things happened in life. I wasn't able to go and do the student teaching piece. So I had to go and start thinking about what changes can I implement in my life to get on a path to a career, since I couldn't do the teaching job. And that's when I went into business. So to have ended up in a situation where I was able to take both of those passions and bridge them, it was a rewarding opportunity for me personally. But again, remember that everyone's situation is different. So in some cases, you might already know what you want to do. For others, it might take longer, requiring you to step out of your comfort zone to reach new possibilities. We're here today to help you develop what your career plan is going to look like. The first step is to be able to visualize career success before you achieve it. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm big on vision boards. I have to go and put a plan down and see it because I'm a visual person. I learn visually and I plan from vision boards. If I see it, then I'm saying, okay, I can see that that goal is there. Very good point, Izzy. When you start a job out of high school, and that's another point that I like to make with students trying to figure out what they're going to major in college. Sometimes you just don't know. Start out with your gen ed courses, get some life experience, and figure out where your passions are. What do you enjoy doing? And then take those next steps to figure out how to get to that end goal. But can you see your ideal career destination? The definition of career success is very personal. Have you thought about how you define career success? If you haven't defined your own career success, it could mean someone else might have already done it for you. You may discover your career is already headed in the direction that matches your goals. If your vision of success is climbing the corporate ladder, the changing of your title with varying roles, experiences, and responsibilities can help you measure your progress and ultimate success. Then again, if your idea of a successful career is enjoying and being energized by the work you perform, you too have a successful career. But for most of us, charting a successful career strategy requires an ongoing commitment and time investment to ensure you will have the favorable outcome you desire. Again, it's all about you and what you want to do. So let's move on to review some questions that could help create a more accurate picture of your ideal career destination. This is where we start to do some self-reflection, dig deep into what our personal goals and ideals look like. In this exercise, and this is our first one, let's review some steps that can help you write your ideal career ending. First, I want you to think about the activities, events, people, and energy waves you need around you. We all know what it's going to take for us to be successful in a work environment. I know there are some organizations out there that have made these fun, well, before pre-COVID, I had these fun work environments. I remember visiting a call center one time, and from the outside, I wouldn't have thought, okay, working in a call center would be exciting, but they had games and pool tables and TVs with gaming systems so that when the employees took a break, they could really have some downtime and enjoy themselves. So those types of things, what is important to you in your work environment? What do you do on an everyday basis that you enjoy doing? From events, what are you responsible for completing and leading? Who do you interact with? New and old customers? Do you enjoy leading teams? Do you enjoy collaborating? Do you enjoy working domestically or in a global environment? And then in an energy environment, do you prefer fast-paced with a low number of priorities or routine? Are you creative? These are all things that you want to think about so that you can start to determine, what environment, what work environment will you best thrive in? And here's what to do with that information. Now we will begin to connect this with the steps in effective career planning. So again, keep in mind the activities, events, people, and energy you need in order to be successful in your work environment and in the work that you do. Effective career planning starts by knowing where you are now, your point A, and where you want to go, which is going to be your point B. Next, you have to know what it takes to get to your point B. So doing this step involves reality testing. For example, if you want to become a chief financial officer of a company, but you don't have your CPA yet, you need to realize that there are steps involved in your career plan. This is the point where you ask yourself some key questions. Am I prepared to make the changes and perhaps sacrifices in order to achieve my goal? Do I have the sufficient resources to support my career plan? And how much time am I willing to invest to achieve my career goals? Those are very, very, very important questions, because if at any point you're not ready to make the sacrifices, invest in enhancing the skill sets or getting more education in order to achieve what it is for you to be successful in that role, then maybe this isn't the career path for you at this moment. But once you have your career vision in place, you should summarize it and put it down in writing. Again, making everything a visual plan. When your goals are down on paper and visible, it's easier to commit to them. We're going to delve a little deeper into goal setting tips a bit later. But the final step with all of this is to put a plan into action. As you can see, there are multiple steps in career planning, and this is what it looks like from a very high level. Now let's look a little deeper into each of these areas to see if we can help you better define or refine your career pathway. And it's interesting because we have tried this workshop with high schoolers, seniors, and we've tried this with entry-level employees. And it is always funny to see the reactions that we get from everyone and the varying differences of where people think that they want to go. And then they start to think, and I have some work to do because of this self-reflection piece. The high-level steps include reflection, which is self-evaluation of your interests, values, and strengths. Taking it back again to what is it that you do on a daily basis that you enjoy doing? Who do you need to be involved? Who do you need to be around? And what type of energy do you need in your workplace? And then you have exploration, which is the utilization of both tools and support. This can include a review of internal job postings, checking to see what's even out there. Sometimes you may not necessarily be looking to leave an organization, but you want to know what skill sets are they looking for out there in the industry so that I'm best prepared should I ever decide I want to make any moves, or if I want to promote in my current organization. What is it that they're looking for that somebody from the outside may bring in here? And then building a career plan, creating short and long-term goals with a timeline, filling in knowledge, skill gaps, which is going to be a continuous learning process, and then gaining experience, acting on your plan. Continuous reflection and sticking to your career plan can be a lifelong project. The actions involved should include a self-assessment. You all want to put in the chat, or Elizabeth, Saria, have you all done any personal self-assessments? I know I have to do them quite often.
Yes, I have, with different organizations on different projects. So, but it's, you know what, it's never the same, So even if you think you're this way, it's like, oh, this is what I am, this is my, strengths and weaknesses. You go on a different project and you take it and it's something different. So we change as we, years after year, month after month. So that's my little 2 cents.
No, that's a very good point you hit on there, because depending on what it is that you're working on, your self-assessment is going to look different. Going into my doctoral program, I had to do a self-assessment. That looked completely different from what my self-assessment outcomes look like for my career. So again, depending on what it is or what moment you're in your life, that self-assessment is going to reflect that. Rosa, very good. Did you learn anything that stood out during your self-reflection, your self-assessment, Rosa? But as she's chiming in there, what type of self-assessment tools or resources have you used or found helpful? I know some may include personality tests, leadership, reflection, SWOT analysis, DISC, and then strengths finders, which is something that we heavily use within DeVry. Our career services team are all specialized strengths finders professionals, so that even as they're working with our students working on their career frameworks, they interject their strength finder results, because we've all had those interviews where they're going to ask, well, tell me what your strengths and weaknesses are. And they used to catch me off guard early on in my career when I would have those questions asked during an interview, because I'm like, I don't know. And you start rambling off about something, but it's good now to know that there are tools out there that help you determine what your strengths are.
And then, Erin, I just want to put in there, that's one of the reasons why I got into project management. I was going to University of Phoenix and they did a self-assessment early on when I first started. And I took a class called project management. I was like, wait, that's where my skills lie in this degree when I was taking IT. So, you know, it can really help you move to where get into a job where you really, where your skills and your strengths lies, and not necessarily your weaknesses, because you can always hire people for your weaknesses, or you can always help to, you know, get that weaknesses into, you know, a strength as well. So anyway.
Yes, that's a very valid point as well. I mean, I mentioned in one of our previous workshops where one of the organizations I worked with was trying to figure out what to do with one of their employees, because the role they hired him for, he was not doing well in. And then once COVID hit, they realized he had a strong passion for coding and building programs, and they needed a virtual online platform in order to continue conducting business. And he built their platform from the ground up. That was the role for him. That's where his strengths and his passions were at, not in the role they hired him for. So they almost lost a very valuable employee because he was in the wrong job. So again, knowing what your strengths and passions are can help you, and they may help save your organization, because he saved them thousands of dollars, especially knowing how we all had to pivot quickly into these virtual platforms early on. That was a huge asset to the organization. But then again, let's getting back to our career reflection. Passion, what would you do for free? If no obstacles stood in your way, what would your accomplishments look like? Get you to focus on the big things that matter in your life. I know for me personally, helping students or providing education opportunities to families that may not have necessarily thought of this as a pathway is a passion of mine. I learned that early on in my career when I was working with early childhood education, and seeing how that family involvement is a critical piece to education, and exposing families to, you know, worlds outside of their own neighborhoods. And so for that reason, I found my career to be rewarding in the field of education, regardless of what age. Values. Each of us has developed a set of core values and principles which guide our behaviors over the years. The reason you want to identify your core values is because if you are able to align your values with the work you perform on a daily basis, your job satisfaction will increase. We ever have those moments where you've ever worked for an organization in the past and you've been like, oh, you know, it's just such it's a burden to get up and go to work in the morning. I always wanted to find or make sure I find those roles that on Monday morning, after a nice weekend, I did not have any gripes about getting up and going to work on Monday. Anybody else share that? Saria, you must have, because you have this passion for project management. I've never seen in anybody.
You know, I do. So yeah, so I can relate to that, because when you're in your passion, it doesn't feel like you're working, right? It feels like you're building something and you're creating. You can be as much as creative as possible, and then before you know, it's like 3 a.m. in the morning. You gotta go to bed. So yeah,
we have all been there. I mean, I had a job one time. I was so on trying to stay on top of a project I was working on, now not in the project management role, but I mean, I just did not want to quit until I got done with what it was I was doing. That was my first experience with an energy drink. I know it's like a side note, but I was so involved and so excited about what I was working on. I did not want to stop. But that's the kind of passion and, you know, enjoyment you want out of what it is that you're doing. So then motivators, what kinds of things motivate you to wake up in the morning and be excited about going to work? Are you at your best when you're working closely with a group or when you're working alone? I can deal with, you know, a combination of both. Are you a good problem solver, or do you excel at highly conceptual work? Being able to identify your motivators is another step towards creating your career goals. As you progress, be proactive in taking the time to reflect in order to determine the type of work you find fulfilling. Next, you'll need to ask yourself, are you taking full advantage of the multiple tools and support that are available to you? Can anyone share what you have done or career tools you have used to gather useful information?
Google.
It never fails you.
I'm gonna Google it.
That's yes. I'm right there with you on that one. But sometimes we have internal, yes, Rosa. We all Google users. But I used to go to career fairs, and you speak with students out here looking for employment. They've recently graduated and they have these wonderful resumes, and they're like, well, I haven't been getting any hits. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. You spent all this money going to the school. Have you used your career services department at your school? We sometimes don't stop and use what's right there at our fingertips. In addition to Google, yes, there are other resources. Even as an alum of a university, you can go back to your career services. Saria mentioned University of Phoenix earlier. They have a whole ad campaign right now about how they continue to support their students and alums through that career process. And that is an initiative that all university systems actually have. But some people overlook those resources. So in addition to Google, few more tools that may be available to you. Internal job postings. So particularly here at DeVry University, we have Hire DeVry 2.0. So our students have an internal job board that they can utilize to find internships and career opportunities. And then on the DeVry side, because I already worked there as a colleague, you have internal job postings that are available on your career tab. So each one of you all, at your individual organizations, you also have internal job postings. So any opportunities that are available at your organizations that they have posted for positions they want to fill, review those. When was the last time you took a look at the type of positions at your company? And do you know where to even find this information? That would be step number one. And then soft skill training. According to the former LinkedIn CEO, Jeff Weiner, the biggest skills gap he identified in the US was soft skills. So communication, both written and oral, team building, leadership skills. Soft skills have a staying power, and it is something that so many people tend to overlook when they're on their career path. If you can't talk to people, what are we going to do here? If you can't write, what are we doing? So those types of things are, they sometimes are overlooked, but they're a huge, huge, huge priority for organizations and the people that they hire into roles. Stretch assignments. What opportunities can you identify, and are you prepared to ask for it? I know sometimes we get so focused on the role that we get up every morning to focus on, but what is it that I can do beyond what's expected of me in my job? Is there an opportunity, for me to expand my marketing skill set by teaming up with the marketing team to work on something that will enhance my job? Is there an opportunity, even presenting workshops? These are sometimes they can be stretch assignments because it forces people outside of their comfort zone. It allows you to go and enhance a skill that you may not necessarily work on because it's not a requirement in your day-to-day job. But those are opportunities that you can identify that will help give you some more insight into what it is that you want to do or how you want to take your career, where you want to take your career rather. Mentor programs. Does your company have a formal or informal mentor program available to help you tap into those skill sets or even learn more about what these different career opportunities will look like? You can also find mentorship through professional organizations such as PMI, AMA, which is American Marketing Association, SHRM for HR professionals, and the list goes on. Those professional organizations are there for a reason. Depending on your industry and what your passions are, join those professional organizations. It will help expand your network. It will give you insight into roles and opportunities that you may not necessarily find, online. They are there to help you to build your career, to enhance who you are as an individual, and what we'll talk about later on in helping build your personal brand. Are there any other career tools that you all think we should add to the list?
LinkedIn is another tool. You can sign up for their learning. They have like a learning section, and you can look at those soft tools that they have. They teach project management, they teach leadership, they teach coding, they teach a lot of things on LinkedIn. And they also, LinkedIn has a job post. I was just talking to a friend, and he just got himself a project management job working remotely from New York. So, LinkedIn is also a good for, if you're looking for a job, go there as well. I'm just saying.
Maria, I think you have gone and done this presentation because LinkedIn is such an underutilized tool, and you do not realize until you have conversations with people how they haven't tuned into it. But we actually are going to go a little bit into LinkedIn later on in this presentation, and we're going to go a little bit even deeper into it in 2 weeks with that next presentation. But LinkedIn, yes, if you have not set up a profile, you're going to get one started today. But remember, up to this point, we have been reflecting and exploring. We've been taking notes and brainstorming and perhaps dreaming, but we didn't start the session off saying we wanted to create your career fantasy. What we are trying to create is something that is visible, tangible, planned. And when it's planned, it becomes possible. As the slide said, it's not a dream, it's a plan. So let's cover a planning process and work through an example. Now, who's heard of SMART goals? I hope at this point we all have. Yep, Elizabeth, I'm sure you have. But SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. And using this template for setting goals has been proven to work. It correlates with Dr. Edwin Locke's pioneering research on goal setting and motivation that was done in the late 1960s. In 1981, George T. Doran published a work in the November issue of Management Review that extended upon Locke's findings. In his work, Doran laid out the main principles of SMART goals. And as you create your goals, it's smart to keep this in mind. So we just said SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. So let's work through an example. Where do you want to be in 3 years? Do any of us know? That one stumps me.
I have a place I really want to go visit next year, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it there.
Look, I'm right there with you. I know. I know. But one example that I think may be applicable to a lot of us would be moving into management or leadership. Let's start off with that one. So the specific piece of that, let's research. Research shows that clear and specific goals lead to better task performance than any vague or easy goal. So if you take the goal of wanting to move into management or leadership, that specific piece of it is going to be, you want to be in XY position by year end of 2022. That's you being specific about where or when you want to be in this particular role. The measurable piece is system to track your progress, possibly create and review progress with a weekly data tracker. So this is where you would, again, outline what it is that you need to get done and how to get there. For example, this week, get existing manager approval to begin a mentor program and list the key topics and knowledge you'd like to gain during the mentorship. Or this month, reach out to leader A or leader B to request an opportunity to be a mentor. Meeting weekly, monthly, quarterly with your mentor or your manager or your supervisor or talent acquisitions to discuss results, and then take inventory of your current skill set and review items or skills necessary for moving forward to future positions. Again, this is you doing that research on the front end to see what it is that's going to be required of you to move into these roles, and what are they expecting people to know coming into these roles. All of those are going to be important in you measuring out the steps in order for you to get to that leadership or manager role by year end 2022. Determine the skills gaps and where you need additional training. Again, self-reflection, knowing where you are and what else do you need in order to enhance where you need to get to where you want to be. Moving on to the A, achievable. A good goal is challenging, but also something you believe you can accomplish. Consider how to accomplish your goal within known constraints of time, money, and skills. Is the mentor-mentee relationship encouraged and accepted in your workplace? Do you have the proper skill set to meet the desired requirements of a role in management? Again, all going back to self-reflection, knowing who you are as an individual and what it is that you need to accomplish in order to get to that end goal. And then being relevant. Is the goal in line with your values and motivators? Use them as guideposts towards your goal. Discuss your work-life balance. Review values and motivations with trusted colleagues, your spouse, your mentor, to help align actions with skills that are important to the company, and establish if you are on the ideal track. Going back to the young man that was in the wrong role, having those conversations with his supervisor helps identify that he was in the wrong role and had a skill set that was better suited to support the organization. And then being time-based. Without a deadline, it becomes easier to put off working on your goals. Be sure to ground them in a time frame. We selected a time frame of the end of year 2022. So again, you have this time frame in order to put this plan together and reach this goal. But again, that was using that SMART process. Now, how do you take this information and make it a SMART goal? Let's switch gears. We spoke about developing your skills, and this is critical in today's ever-changing business environment. You start by staying relevant and building your personal brand. Let's take a minute to look at these two images. What do they communicate about the value of staying relevant? Does everybody know what that image on the left is? We are quiet today. Yes, Lisa. This is a perfect example of staying relevant. Can anyone name a formerly successful brand that lost relevance over time? I know that I can think of several, but I'm not trying to age myself. Yes, Lisa, those were the good old days. Now you can't, I don't know where you get a printed picture now. Blockbuster is always at the top of the list. We had a business case study that I was just dumbfounded by, that Netflix had offered to partner with them. And now who's still around? It's insane.
Erin, I miss my Walkman.
Now, I started this question with saying I didn't want to age myself. Yeah, you're right. I remember taking trips and having that Walkman and those tapes. And then we can Motorola. They're not around anymore. Well, that's a good one. But sometimes I think back, to my grandparents. So they were big Sears shoppers. Those are gone. I don't know if they have them out here, but Chicago is home for me. But service merchandise used to be a big one. Oh my goodness, Izzy, Montgomery Ward and Woolworth. Okay, I'm not feeling too bad. It seems like we're all in the same age bracket here. But yeah, brick and mortar stores, period, with the introduction of online shopping have become irrelevant. Amazon has just about taken everyone out of the game, from the streaming services to your clothing, appliances. I mean, whatever you need, you can get it on Amazon. And this is a side note, but did anyone catch the news recently that they are on track to be the first $1 trillion business? But the point in all of that is they've managed to maintain their relevance in an ever-evolving environment. And one point we can take away is the need to continuously evolve in order to stay relevant. We must, much like with our career planning, we must evolve in order to keep our skills and knowledge relevant, which leads to understanding personal brand management. Yes, Lisa, it did. But it also helped with understanding how relevant Amazon actually is. I mean, we didn't have to leave our houses because Amazon provided answers to everything. But your personal brand is about how others perceive you. It's important to look at how you are presenting yourself to the world. What do you wish for people to associate with your name? And you all can chime in on here as well. When you think about the types of things you post on your social media platforms, how would someone perceive you by looking you up? I know one example that we give during this presentation is consistently creating a positive customer experiences, expert and collaborating across internal teams to reach organization goals. I know with personal branding, internally, we have blogs and posts that are developed within DeVry University that we often share on our personal LinkedIn profiles. But instead of going and just posting everything that they have on there, I know that there are certain things that I want to be associated with. And so I look for content that's associated with my personal brand. And I will share that on my social media platforms. But it's important to not only establish your brand, but to monitor it. If you don't define your personal brand, others will. You control your story. Reach out to former managers or colleagues for feedback. Sometimes we don't utilize those that work closest to us to go and say, how do you perceive me? Do you think I'm an effective leader or manager? What skill sets do you think I need to enhance in order to be better? Utilize those immediate resources and those closest to you to get that feedback to help you on this journey. We can try another quick exercise. When was the last time you Googled yourself? Once you Googled yourself, ask yourself, is this what I want to communicate? And be candid. Ask, again, trusted friends and colleagues to answer the same questions for you. Be open to their feedback without judgment. This is what is your current reality. They know you best. They've seen you from the outside. You're on the inside of yourself. You're caught up into who you think you are, but is that really who and what you're portraying? Googling myself doesn't work. I have a very common name, so nothing shows up, so I look boring. Anybody else had any fun, find anything fun when Googling themselves?
What I see, Aaron, is like different pictures that they pull, right?
That's scary.
Yeah, from different things that you've done, right? So it does pull pictures and you'll, click on it and be like, wow, I haven't seen that picture in eons. Like, woo,
Where
and
did you even get it from?
from social media. So it picks up stuff like that. I always look at my name to see if there's anything negative that I might have put out there, on my social media to see, what's out there. Did I say something that was negative and got a lot of, likes and stuff like that? So, people do look at your LinkedIn and your Facebook and, all of that stuff and see what you're putting out there, what you like. So,
Yeah. Look at how many celebrities that have lost opportunities because of something that they posted somewhere in the past.
Yeah, like the Jeopardy guy.
Oh.
Yeah. People are
Yeah.
looking at social media, and what you like out there it's all out there for people to see.
And once it's there, you cannot take it back.
Uh-uh.
Somebody somewhere will find it. So yes, be very, very, very aware of what it is that you are putting out there and how you are branding yourself. To showcase your relevant value to organizations, we need to first understand their challenges and needs. So gone are the days when personal branding was only for celebrities or executives. Stacy Cohen, CEO of Co-Communication, says you should always be reinforcing your value to brand both yourself and your organization. Personal brands aren't reserved for CEOs. A company's rank and file employees should capitalize too. It allows professionals to differentiate themselves and also angle for the promotion that best suits them. There may be a fear on the part of some to go through the exercise of defining themselves so narrowly, but there are some positive benefits of a personal brand. It helps you to focus on your value and identifies the unique traits that you bring to the workplace, delivers an authentic message to managers around your career goals, and depicts who you are as a professional. It helps you depict how your personal vision for the future aligns with the long-term business objectives of the team or your organization. So that shows how you as an individual are helping to brand your organization as well. It's a holistic approach. Now let's take this a step further. Your strategic brand should be the intersection of your strengths, your organization's business needs, and your aspirations. That intersection is your target for future focused career opportunities. Here are some strategic steps you can take. One, say yes to relevant opportunities. So when those stretch assignment opportunities come around, don't turn them down because you're like, oh, I don't have any time. It's not required in my job. No, one exposes you to another career, a skill set. And two, may expose you to other decision makers that you may not come across in your everyday work. So say yes to relevant opportunities. Two, you want to ask questions to every meeting you attend. Make sure that when you're asking questions, they're relevant to whatever's being discussed. We have all had some experience where we have sat in a meeting with somebody that likes to talk and likes to hear their own voice. And they'll start asking things that have, one, already been addressed or answered, or two, have nothing to do with what was being discussed. So make sure you're asking questions in meetings, but make sure it's relevant and that it hasn't already been asked. Three, network internally beyond your immediate team. Those stretch assignment opportunities, again, like I said, allow you to network and get exposure to individuals in other departments and roles. And again, they may be decision makers that you may want to, at some point, if you're looking to promote within your organization, oh, I've worked with this person on this project. Network internally. That's going to be to a huge advantage to you as you move through your career path. And then share your voice with influencers. So if you have any ideas or insights on something, have those conversations about those things with people that can make decisions or can make things move, and the movers and shakers. Many organizations encourage their employees to use social media. I don't know about any of you all, but again, to DeVry's purpose, they are big on LinkedIn. And if so, what platforms and in what way do you use your social media platforms? I recently came across this quote in an article by social media expert and author Melanie DiDardo. She's the founder and CEO of Top Dog Social Media, entitled 5 Social Media Lies You Must Not Believe. And she strongly advocates for the use of social media and provides guidelines for engagement on the various multiple social channels. Most of you already know and may have already been using the multitude of social networking channels, including Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But for now, let's focus on professional networking tool, LinkedIn, and the importance of your LinkedIn profile for career growth. As Saria pointed out so strongly earlier, it is a very, 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 very useful tool as far as finding out skill set, expanding your network, even looking for jobs and opportunities. But there are several steps that you can take to optimize your LinkedIn profile to make it both findable and visually appealing. Step 1, the first step is to have an authentic personal branding message. In creating a personal branding message, you need to consider your profile headline. Your headline may be the reason an employer reads through your profile. It could lead to your next opportunity. And here's a few quick tips. Your headline, all 120 characters of it, needs to highlight you and the value you bring to your organization. The formula we recommend to use when building your headline to branding tagline is as follows. You want an active word, plus a business need and area, plus a unique trait aligned with the job or industry. And that will create your branding tagline. That's your headline. Are you an obsessive wordsmith, expert online content manager, witty blog author, middle of the night pianist? Are you a Facebook marketing expert, author, and trainer, social media, speaker, relationship marketing specialist? Those are all the types of buzzwords, keywords that you want to put into your headline that will help draw others to you. Besides fine-tuning your personal brand and networking on LinkedIn, there are several other steps you can take towards achieving your career goals. Recall that our final step is to put our great plans into action so that you make sure you have the knowledge and the know-how to execute on your goals. So how will you take action? Here are 4 things that we can do to start making positive progress on our goals. 1, think of ways you can extend your professional network. Are there professional groups you can join, places you can volunteer? We've talked about LinkedIn. I've mentioned the professional organizations, depending on what industry you're in, or the industry you may want to transition into at some point. 2, you want to be on the lookout for relevant opportunities. Take the time to dig deeper into your company's resources and tools. Where are your untapped opportunities? The best place to start exploring your career options is to search for open positions within your own company. This is where you can learn more about the skills, knowledge, and education needed for those jobs and the functional areas, and then develop your skills by taking advantage of additional education and training opportunities. 3, you want to identify a mentor. We touched on this importance of this previously, but let's now discuss the process. Start by listing people you admire and why you admire them. Then rank the people based on developing your brand vision, finding professionals that resemble your brand vision. Then you want to compare your career path design with theirs, because mentoring can be a two-way street. Look to ways to improve on their paths. So you want to make sure that you're not just taking. You want to be able to give back into them as well. And then 4, another important step in the process is to be on a constant quest for knowledge. Ask yourself, how can you stay on top of the changes and trends occurring in your field? Is there an education component to your goal? And if so, do you choose the right school? How do you choose the right school or program for you? Saria mentioned earlier that there are some online training resources through LinkedIn, and we highly, highly, highly encourage you all to delve deeper into those types of online resources. So we've covered a lot of information today. And then thinking about everything we've covered, what tips or resources did you all find useful? And what will you take back and apply immediately? But as you're thinking about that, I did want to note that there may be some SMART goals. Yes, setting them. That is a huge benefit to today's workshop. Actually putting out or developing a plan that you can follow. Guillermo, updating your LinkedIn. Yes. And make sure you're connecting with like-minded people. You want to get your number of connections up, because you never know who will be a value or a resource in any type of situation. So connect. I even invite you all to connect with me on LinkedIn as well.
Erin, I will also say, look for jobs for the future, right? Because some of these jobs that we're in now, we need to understand if they're going to be around in the next 5 years, or if they're going to be automated, and, so, that's always good to, read articles in your profession, in your industry, to see if, you're going to be around.
Thank you. Nobody wants to talk about that, but we need to make sure.
Exactly.
Are we in a sustainable field?
Yeah, that's real, because things are moving, technology is coming, and with this whole pandemic, businesses are thinking about, do I really need to have employees, or I can't find employees, so how do I automate this job, right? I mean, just never know.
You certainly don't. Plan for the unexpected. With that said, at the end of all of our presentations, we certainly welcome and invite you all to connect with me to learn more about what an education pathway may look like for you at DeVry University. We do have online and on-site learning options. We do credit evaluations for any prior credit that you may have received at any other higher education institution. And then we have a dedicated support team that is with you from the moment you look into a program through to graduation. And with that being said, I want to thank you all so very much for your for your participation today. Again, I am super excited on our Wednesday mornings when we get to join you all. And I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. I will turn it back over to you, Elizabeth.
Great presentation, Erin, as always. Thank you so much. And Saria, thank you for chiming in as well. Let me see if there's any questions. No, just lots of feedback. Thank you so much. Very valuable information and very helpful. Perfect. So I think we are right at, close to 10 o'clock. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up. We'll share Erin's information, the recording and the slides in our post-event email. So please be on the lookout for that. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks as we almost wrap up our professional growth series. So thank you again for all those who are joining us every 2 weeks to have these wonderful workshops, and hope to see you all there. Thank you so much, Erin, and have a great day.
Thanks. Have a great day, everyone.